The workshop, okay. All right, and we'll start the workshop, which I think we set this specifically to discuss the first 30 minutes of nothing but the four-wheeler ordinance. Chief, would you like to approach council and tell them, or show them what you've sent out and give your thoughts and comments on it?
Mayor, I believe everyone has been provided a copy of the proposed ordinance that I drafted. Biggest parts of this ordinance allow us to address the problem of juveniles operating ATVs, golf carts, go-karts, dirt bikes, you name it, on the streets of Satsuma. Several people have noted that there's, sometimes multiple kids all piled on the off-road vehicle, and it's a dangerous situation, and we would like a tool to address it by holding the parents responsible for the actions of the children. And the only thing that's currently on the books is an Attorney General's opinion that was issued in the mid-'80s that says that operating an off-road vehicle on a public street, road, or highway is per se reckless driving. Most of our officers are not comfortable with such an extreme charge for simply operating an off-road vehicle on the roadways. So this ordinance will give us that gap between doing nothing and a serious traffic offense. Any questions?
A lot of people is talking about these four-wheelers and stuff. They're going too fast. I don't know what they can do with it. Just like these kids, they warned, and they're still going too fast.
Yes, sir. Currently, the only option for underage juveniles is to take them to Strickland Youth Center and charge them with reckless driving. But we feel that it would be more pertinent to hold the adults in charge of said children responsible for the actions of the children. As I noted in one of the previous meetings, if I was 12 years old and my parents told me I could take off on a four-wheeler and rip and romp the streets, I wouldn't think twice about it. Kids that age are not thinking about the legality of what they're doing, and they're not even thinking of the danger of what they're doing.
Keith, do you have an ordinance here for the city, or we just got the ones from other cities?
That's the one I just made sure gave you. That's his proposed one.
This one you just handed me?
Yes, sir.
Don't we actually have an ordinance in place?
No, sir.
We do not.
No, sir.
I know we've got a few signs up throughout around the city, is that correct? About certain, off-road vehicles?
Not to my knowledge.
Seen any?
No, sir. We've got signs up about animals at large, but I haven't seen any regarding off-road vehicles. Most of the other ordinances that we looked at, Heather had reached out, I believe, statewide. She received one response from Tuskegee, which was a rather wordy ordinance. And the rest of them pretty much came from Baldwin County, which has a specific constitutional amendment that allows them to authorize the use of golf carts on public roadways. That type of ordinance doesn't apply in Mobile County unless we can get our legislative delegation to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that will have to be voted in. I actually spoke to the owner of the golf cart dealership here in Satsuma and explained that to her and suggested that she reach out to the legislative delegation about getting such an amendment put on the ballot, because I know it would help their business if they could sell them for lawful use in Mobile County. But I do not believe any action has been taken on that.
I'll also state, I talked to the Dolphin Island because I know they allow golf cart usage there. And city clerk said they don't have anything on the books, that they don't have an ordinance on it. The only thing they allow are licensed street vehicles. So she said if it's tagged and it's, then they allow that, but any other, they don't have an ordinance against it.
What about Chickasaw? Are they,
I ain't even sure there's a golf cart in Chickasaw.
I
I
reached
hadn't
out,
seen nobody run them down there.
no, I heard that they're outlawed and,
I reached out to their clerks all over the state, and
really?
so this is the only response I got, was, actually I had to call Orange Beach, and of course, those are Baldwin County, but Tuskegee reached out and sent me theirs.
We had several people came before the councilman, and they wanted the golfs and the four-wheelers out because they were kind of, kill somebody.
The city clerk in Orange Beach said that they had been approached numerous times. That's why they were finally doing something about it. They had so many complaints. She said we tried to stay away from it because of all the legalities, but that they are at a point they've got to do something there because so many kids are driving them.
I know that one person has approached the council directly, but I can tell you we do get numerous complaints phoned into the police department about it. And this, we really need a tool to deal with it. And like I said, the tool here will allow us to hold the parents responsible, which I believe is where the problem lies.
Do you think this is detailed enough, though? I mean, I'd like to see it go into more detail, like some of these other ordinances. I don't disagree with what you got there, except 18 years of age, I do that, but I think it needs to be more detailed, laid out than just a few sentences. If it specifies what are the off the road, what's not, what's allowed. I'm sitting here trying to read these other ordinances. And Orange Beach does go into a great bit of detail on theirs, plus they relieve also, it's in there about the liabilities.
And I think part of the referendum in Baldwin County, they have to list every street that they allow it on. I noticed that as well in Foley's. They
Yeah, I
list
think in
all
our
the
case,
streets.
it'd be easier to list the ones that's not allowed.
Well, this just says all public roadways.
Well, I mean, 43, I know it's not allowed, that's what I'm saying. That's about the only one I think that's over 25 in Satsuma.
Yes, sir.
So, that's what I say, it might be the easiest there, just to say that one streets. They're not proved.
Well, like I said, the only thing currently that we have is the Attorney General's opinion that just says it's illegal on any public roadway.
Well, I passed some coming here tonight, there were 5 children on a golf cart, and the oldest one might have been 9 years old.
So you would
Taking
like,
all off of it.
you'd like to see more detail what defines an off-road vehicle?
Yeah, what we go find them, who's gonna be fined, or what we gonna do, I'd just like to know more, because I'm all for this ordinance. But, I think we just need to put a little bit more bite into it.
Well, the punishment is already established in another section of the code, so I wasn't going to reinvent the wheel. I just referred to the punishment section that's already in
That's
the.
writing the parents a ticket, or,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll write the parents a ticket, on a municipal ordinance ticket, and they'll have to deal with it here in municipal court.
And if you see the one from Fairhope, this one,
I hadn't read that one, yeah.
she said that they don't have an ordinance either. This is just what their officers, the police department sent this to me.
Yeah.
This is what they go by. They use the UTC as well, but she said that they have the licensed street vehicles and the requirements, and they ticket based on a certain, mile per hour based on the vehicle or something.
And this would not affect those low-speed vehicles that are street legal. This only applies to vehicles that are designed for off-the-road use
So
only.
if you've got a tag, a state Alabama tag on there, it applies to you just like a
You're
car.
good to go. Yes, sir. You got to have a driver's license.
I say, but let me ask you again, the driver license should be required. I know it is if you got a state license, tag on it.
Yes, sir. If they're driving a vehicle with a tag on it, they got to have a driver's license.
But like I say, don't you think instead of 18, it should be 16? I mean, that's when we allow them to get in the car and drive anywhere in the country.
I believe it says 16.
It says 18 when I.
Well, the 18 is defined as the responsible adult that's responsible for the actions of the juveniles,
Not
not the operator.
Okay,
The ordinance makes it illegal for anyone to operate an off-road vehicle on the public streets, road, or highways. But the responsible adult section applies only to a juvenile operating said vehicle.
And if they're 16, you'd issue a ticket to them just like you would an automobile, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, not go back to the parents.
Yes, sir.
Well, we definitely need to do something, and there's more ATV four-wheelers running up and down the neighborhoods, I think, than golf carts.
It's a problem in many forms.
I was on Margiana the other day, and it was actually kids walking, bringing the ATVs up and riding them down the street like that, you know? And they would be illegal for the streets, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If it's not designed for use on the roadway, so just to give you an example, if you have a low-speed vehicle that is designed for use on a public roadway, but it doesn't have a tag, it would fall under the state statute for not having a tag on it, and the driver could be ticketed for operating a vehicle without a tag on it. This ordinance is solely for vehicles that you can't get a tag for because they're not for on-road use.
Well, we still want to do to where the people bring these cars and have them inspected and say, yeah, this one's good for the highway, and put a sticker on it?
No, sir, we'll leave that in the purview of the license commissioner, and if they feel that the vehicle is street legal, they'll issue a tag for it.
Well, to get a tag, I can tell you personally, you know, that's a $500 fee just to apply to the state of Alabama, get a tag for a golf cart. I mean, we're gonna allow golf carts on the street that have lights and blinkers and them things of nature, but not a tag, correct?
No, sir, they'll have to have a tag on it to operate it on the streets.
So you're saying they're gonna have to be street legal?
Yes, sir.
So we would have to have like the VIN number, the type 1 or type 2 light belt.
Well, again, I don't believe that the city should be determining what is and what isn't street legal.
I think that's the definition of it in the code, I think.
Again, the license commissioner's office determines what is and what isn't street legal. If it's street legal, they issue a tag for it. If it's not legal, they don't issue a tag for it.
So maybe we say as determined by the license commissioner.
Well, I can tell you from personal opinion, if you don't have a serial number on that golf cart, I believe it's 12 or 16 digits, you can't get a tag from the state of Alabama, whether it's street legal or not. You know?
Because if you look at the one from Fairhope, it does say, low-speed vehicle must have the following in order to be street legal. Basic standard that meets safety requirements, the MSO, minimum threshold of 20 miles per hour and a top speed of 25, headlamps, front rear turn signal lamps, tail lamps, stop lamps, reflex reflectors, exterior mirror, parking brake, windshield that conforms to federal motor vehicle safety, VIN number, and lap belt or shoulder belt.
And again, this ordinance is not designed to address those vehicles. This ordinance is designed strictly for those vehicles that are not street legal.
And she said that because they are in Baldwin County, they actually issue permits. Their citizens come to City Hall.
That's what I was
and
getting
get a
at.
permit, and the police department has a list of those permits, and they have to have it on their windshield. And she said when an officer pulls up, he sees that permit, he knows they're legal. you know, to
That's what
drive.
I'd
Now,
like to
if they're
see.
doing something wrong,
Well, in order to do that, we'd have to get that constitutional amendment passed.
and that's all falls under that referendum.
And again, this ordinance is not designed to address those types of vehicles. It is strictly for vehicles that are designed for only off-the-road use. Because that's where the problem is at.
Yeah, the biggest problem I have, like I said, I don't have a problem with the golf carts on the street. It's the children driving the golf carts.
Yes, sir.
Not the adults.
So what happens when it is a legal golf cart, but it's a person under, that doesn't have a driver's license? This, you're saying this
If
ordinance
it
wouldn't
is a
apply.
street legal vehicle that a minor is operating, the state code allows us to cite the parents for allowing them to operate a vehicle
that's
on the
already in
roadways.
place.
That's already
Okay,
covered.
okay.
Again, this ordinance is solely
Sure.
for those vehicles that are not designed to be used on the road.
You know, that's just my biggest concern. If you gotta have a tag, you go take 95% of the golf carts off the street. And
And-
that ain't the purpose. I mean, daytime, you driving a golf cart down through Bond's neighborhood going to Steel Creek with a licensed driver. That's what I'm after. I just, you know, I don't wanna see it to where you bar everybody from Satsuma unless they have a street legal cart. Because I just went through that getting a street legal card. I know what the cost is into it, and I know you ain't gonna be able to do that on all these carts people's got now, even though they got lights and all on them. Strictly because of the way the state of Alabama does that.
Understand. And again, I would support the constitutional amendment such as Baldwin County has that allows us to regulate those. We just don't have it in Mobile County.
Have we approached the local delegation about joining Baldwin County and trying to get a constitutional amendment?
I have not approached them about that, Mayor. Again, I brought it to the attention of the local dealership and suggested that they do it. Anybody that's asked me about it, that's been my suggestion to them. I don't, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I don't own a golf cart, so I have no personal stake in it. But right now, it's a blanket illegal act until we get that constitutional amendment that allows us to regulate it, in which case we can make that legal.
What I personally like to see is where a licensed driver has to drive a golf cart, period. I don't want to get into this license for a tag, and that all your ATVs and off the roads are illegal on these streets. And that's going to solve the problems we got. I mean, the problem we got is not the retired guy over there in Pennsylvania Station's taking his golf cart to Steel Creek Lodge. That's not an issue. I don't think that's ever been an issue with the police department. Any citizens, it's the youth driving these cars. So can we write this ordinance to where you're not stopping, if you don't have a street legal tag, we're not stopping that cart. But you gotta be a licensed driver to operate that cart. And then, like I say, make it ATVs and, you know, your three-wheelers and all them illegal on the street. That's what I'd like to see.
Right now, you can't, I didn't see where you could make illegal on the streets unless you have the amendment, like you're saying, where you can regulate it.
That's correct.
I mean, what you're still not allowed in Alabama.
We're regulating it to a licensed driver, you know, for the golf carts.
But we don't
But you have to have that
authority to
constitutional
do
amendment to do it.
We can't do that, that's what y'all saying.
Yes, sir.
Without the amendment, you don't have the authority to do that.
Because Orange Beach is one of their council members is wanting to make it 14, because at 14 you can drive a boat or a motorcycle. And he was saying, I have a problem telling neighbors, hey, your son can't drive that golf cart, but he can drive that motorcycle to school. And you can't change the state code on that. And it says they must be licensed with, which is,
That brings up another issue. We got a lot of these little motorcycles running around with no helmets, you know, 19
What are
years
they,
old
electric
driving
motorcycles they have now? I can't even hear them when they go by.
And like I said, that's,
I my yard and I literally almost ran over them.
Yeah.
They didn't have a helmet or anything.
Right, I've been seeing that. It's,
And it was one of those little bitty like dirt bikes. I mean, it was this.
but you
low
can't
as my
hear it
car.
if it's the same one I've been seeing up that way. I don't guess they're electric.
Hey, maybe, but I couldn't see him. And I like.
but that would be covered under this because that vehicle is not designed for use on the roadway. That is an off-the-road only vehicle. Mhm. And Mr. Phillips, again, I am 100% supportive of us regulating it. We just don't have the authority to do it at the
I
moment.
understand, yeah. And do anything through legislation takes forever.
Well, we've been trying to do the warrant recall for a year and a half, 2 years now. Through legislative, so.
Was there anything on the books now that enforces underage drivers driving any of these vehicles on the street?
Well, again, the only thing we have is the state statute that covers the operation of motor vehicles, but that suggests a car or other vehicle that's required to be registered. It doesn't cover off-road vehicles, which is why I feel that this ordinance is needed, because it fills that gap that currently exists between a motor vehicle and other vehicles that are actually being used.
Well, everybody else is quiet. What's y'all's thoughts on it?
I've already said this, because a lot of these kids, somebody's gonna get killed, you know? And, he had a lot of chance. I know how many y'all call, you know, call everybody and order, you know, but they don't care.
Can we also, if we first start this, start it with warnings?
Absolutely.
So people can be informed of it ahead of time.
If we want to, and Mr. Skelton had brought up adding in Section D the exclusions, you know, excluding fire department, public works, or any other city official, we can add that. And then maybe just add a subsection E, you know, from the effective date of this ordinance, the only warning shall be issued for whatever time period y'all see fit, 90 days, 180 days, whatever the council's pleasure is.
Could you say on B1, it shall be unlawful for any person under the age of 16?
Well,
Saying you want-
if you wanted to do that, my suggestion would just be to get rid of Section 1 and just go solely with Section 2.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to be sure there's something in there to stop them ATVs off the street. Question 2, you know, we're talking about stopping the ATVs that are pertaining to the dirt roads over in Satsuma Oaks also, correct?
Yes, sir.
City
If it's a
streets.
public roadway that's maintained by the city or the county, yes, sir, it would be illegal.
You know, we're having a hard time keeping them roads up
Yes, sir.
from them just tearing the roads up.
Yes, sir. It applies to any public roadway, whether it's paved or not.
Chief, I talked to Shane Stringer about this time last year. You and I had talked about the constitutional amendment, and he was going to look into it, but by that time that he and I had talked, the session had already been full, so they couldn't bring it up again. So I'll holler at him and see if if they've got room to talk about it this spring. I don't know, but.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm all for us being able to regulate them, you know, obviously, because, you know, one day I might want to buy one and be able to, you know, to ride it to council meetings, but.
A lot of benefits to it, especially in this city, as noted. You know, we don't have very many places other than 43 where the speed limit is higher than 25, and that's pretty much what the Baldwin County amendment was designed for. I mean, we have a perfect place to have that. We just have to get that constitutional amendment in place first.
Right.
And at the council's pleasure, I will reach out to Representative Stringer, Representative Bracy in an official capacity and say the city is requesting that this amendment be considered in the next legislative session.
And then turn it off.
Well, it's almost 6 o'clock. We agreed to spend a half hour discussing it. I guess we could put some of the things in it that you would like. I hate to go just put an ordinance together knowing it's not going to fully address the needs that we have right now. And, but, you know, like you said, without giving warnings for how many days, I mean, that means we stop the same person because we got the same people over and over. I'm not sure I want to do that. If y'all stop him 10 times, it's in 90 days. I mean, I'd say give him a warning, and then after that,
I'm sure the
enforce
city attorney could figure out how to
violation.
word that to where, you know, we'll give warnings for the first however many days, but you only get one.
That's right.
so. and they've continually worked on the golf carts, making them more and more street legal. And those are not the ones we're trying to get rid of that are properly licensed and tagged with and those are not the complaints we're having
Correct.
on adults. I mean, we're trying to get the really young, I'd say 12, 13 and below.
Yes, sir.
And those is riding at night with no lights and I can't believe we've been as fortunate as we have without having an accident. So if we can put some of those things in the ordinance, add to it as a completed thing, and then we all agree on what's there.
If we did this without B1, and to see if it would help until the spring session, is that a possibility, like to do a trial period? And that would at least target, unlicensed drivers. I don't know,
I mean, that's up to the council, however y'all want to approach it. Do we want to make it specifically? Because again, if we have a problem with an adult that's out here being stupid with one, we just write them a reckless driving ticket. That's easy. The problem is the juveniles. And if you have an adult that's still out there driving recklessly on one of these things, there's nothing in this ordinance that's going to prohibit, even if you take out section 1, from us citing an adult for reckless driving if they are misusing it.
if we did take out 1, it would still cover the children.
Yes, ma'am. But taking out 1 would still allow us to cite the parents of whoever is operating that vehicle.
I would like to see that as presented, but take out B1 if we bring that up during the meeting under I.
Take out B1.
That way, it's under,
That just changes the ordinance to where it only applies to juveniles operating the ATVs.
I don't think nobody should be operating that ATV on these streets,
well, that,
adults or child. In other words,
well,
I'd
that
like to
talks
see
about
that
the golf
stay in.
carts too. I thought that's what you wanted to keep.
No, it says, I'm talking about the ATV. If you take that out, does that remove that? That's what I'm asking. If you take out that.
Well, if you take out 1, we couldn't write anyone 18 or older a ticket under this ordinance. But again, we could still write them for reckless driving based on the Attorney General's opinion that we have. And that's not a problem because that comes to municipal court anyway. Like I said, the problem we have is we have juveniles that are doing it, and the only recourse is to take them to Strickland.
Again, like I say, it needs to be age 16 on that too. So we definitely need something.
So take out 1 and make 18, 16?
Mm-hmm. You agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I think that's a little more attractive. Not that it wasn't originally. Yeah, I'm on the same page as I think everyone else is about the retired granddaddy, going for the afternoon ride. That's who I don't want to punish,
That's what I'm not after stopping.
Going forward,
I would, again, as Councilmember Skelton noted, add Public Works and fire officials to well, I guess it doesn't matter if you take out 1 because everybody that works for them will be over the age of 18, so it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, I suppose.
I still think it should be in there because
Is it a license?
our new protocol is that we do, EMS detail on especially on the south side.
It's already there.
I think if we include those, it'll just be a little more clear for fire and public works. He's already in it.
What kind of warning period, or did y'all even want to go with the warning period? If we're going to apply it strictly to juveniles, I don't really think a warning period is necessary. We've been making it known for a long time that it is illegal.
Maybe we could get some signs put up saying, you know, probably, I mean, we could probably on social media and so forth for now that this is, you know, gonna be effective whatever day, and sure word will get around.
I would definitely like for us to be moving in that direction before people start Christmas shopping and decide that it's a good idea to buy their 14-year-old an ATV thinking they're going to run up and down the city streets with them.
This would also include go-karts, right?
Yes. Anything that's not designed for use on the roadway.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Okay, 6:02, that gives us a half hour. We agreed to discuss the ordinance related to the off-road vehicles. So now, we'll go ahead and go into our regular pre-council. Okay, tonight we'll have call to order, invocation. Anybody wanting to do that? Mr. Little, you have invocation night?
I'll take care of it.
Have a roll call, looks like all are present. The agenda.
I have something I would like to add to the agenda that I failed to bring up previously when we were giving the raises across the board. So to include an increase to the library appropriation in the amount of $1,833. And I wouldn't mind if that came from within my salaries for the Parks and Recreation to go to increase library appropriation to cover 4 employees at that 2.5% raise.
Councilmember Reese has requested to add on an agenda item to cover the raises that was given at the last council meeting. Does anybody have any objection?
Thank you.
We'll add that on. Everybody get a copy of the minutes from the last council meeting?
I'll handle those.
I'll second it.
Okay. Heather, is there any recognitions for tonight? Our visitors, see Mr. Nolfi has came in tonight. So, Tracy, you want to tell us anything in pre-council? Sometimes we have just a brief what you want to discuss. I see you got the culvert and
I think the culvert washout, you're already on that, I followed it last meeting.
Did they finally look at it? I've had to call that local meeting 3 times for that, so we're gonna look to the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that was it. We'll talk about the rest, council.
Okay. Is no one else approached? Okay, I don't guess we'll keep that moving. Going into reports and announcements from the mayor and council. I really only have just a few things. I would like to say the Veterans Day ceremony went very well. We were very blessed. The weather held off for us just long enough to get the event over with and get stuff picked up, and started raining right at the end, so that was good. I appreciate everybody's work on that. I noticed on Facebook or social media that there was some comments regarding our trash trucks being down, but I think both of those are back up and working now. Is that correct? So they said today that they had really addressed some of the complaints that we had received. I guess y'all saw the redistricting is taking effect, and the House seat that we were in has changed from 96, which was the main House seat in Satsuma for many, many years, is now only in Baldwin County. So we will now have the current representative did have part of Satsuma, but he now, it looks to me like, has all of Satsuma. I think preparations have been made for our hosting of the municipal dinner on Thursday night. I asked the Revenue Commissioner, Kim Hasty's office, to be the speaker. I did furnish that last week. Hopefully we can discuss things regarding revenue and how they are preparing for that. We're getting our share of it, is what I mean, and trying to make sure that we are getting our share. The Christmas tree was put up by Public Works, helped, but I think the SCDO and some of those volunteers did an excellent job on that. If y'all have seen Baldwin Square, it's really looking nice. I know they had a very nice event there last night, if any of y'all had a chance to go by. It happened in the same time we was having a planning board meeting, so I wasn't able to stay for it all, but it was very nice and looked nice. So you'll see on the agenda tonight the sidewalk project. We got that one bill. That's what we discussed back several months ago, so that just came to come up tonight. Also, I've been contacted again by Mr. John McConaughey, wanting to know what the decision of the council was regarding the night he came up here sometime a couple of months ago regarding closing the end of Orange Avenue. I told him that I would bring it back up tonight, but I told him I didn't think I would be in favor of closing Orange Avenue as far back as he wanted to close it there at Magnolia. But he also wanted to close it there past the bridge or something, that I would, make sure that no other landowner would be affected by it, but we might look at something like that, but that I would bring it back up tonight to see if there was any comment regarding that. So, yes, sir.
If he does, that gate will have to be fully accessible by the fire department, by a knock lock zone there that we have a key to, like we do all the buildings. He can't deny us access because he has insurance on his property to be able to get in there and do fire suppression or anything else.
I think he said that he had already told both of y'all that he would let emergency supply y'all with the access to the property.
He did, sir, but I was just reiterating of what he'd have to do.
Okay. Well,
Chief, I would recommend, instead of a Knox box, that they get some type of automated system that maybe would respond to a siren. That way, the police department could have,
He can.
and
Systems work off of sirens or a Knox key.
I would think the siren system will be better. That way,
Right.
we have access, you have access, EMS has access.
Right.
Okay. If nobody has anything else to say on that, Kara Stallman had requested tonight to speak to the council regarding the grants and what she has. Instead of stopping the council meeting, I've asked that she come for pre-council and spend a few minutes. So, Kara, if you would, please come on up and
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
all right.
Great. For all those that don't know me, I'm Kara. I've been doing grants for almost since 2008, and my first client was the city of Satsuma. So I'm very loyal to y'all, been working for y'all for years. We have, and I currently don't have a contract right now. We've gone in and out of different contracts over the years. Right now, we have one active grant that requires reporting. That's a police grant through Clint. We have to do financial reports, we have to do programmatic reports, and we have to do drawdowns to reimburse the council for those projects. It's something I have to work with Heather and your staff. There's a million different logins and things like that. The second active project we have right now is the fire chief has asked me to help with a grant that's due in mid-December for equipment for the fire station. It's the Assistance to Firefighter grant program. We've applied for that many times in the past. Other projects that I've worked on with y'all that I have active is what's called the Ms4 Permit, which I've done, which is a stormwater permit through ADEM. We just renewed it at the end of last fiscal year for another 5 years. So the city's got a new permit, but that requires a report that's due once a year. So those are the three things that I'm on the hook for right now as far as grants are concerned, are those three projects. And then, as you know, things come up. Now, there is some opportunities. I talked to the mayor today a little bit about them. The state, you all got American Rescue Plan money. The state got $1.9 billion. And they spent $400 million went to the prisons. And they're taking $200 million of that. They're giving it to ADEM for a competitive grant program that's going to be released next year. 100% money for water and sewer. Okay, and it's going to be run just like SRF. I'm telling Jason because I know he might have heard it already, but there's, anyway, so that's a big project. So that'll be $200 million in a pot. So there's opportunities for the water and sewer to apply for that money. And then right behind that, that's American Rescue Plan money, is this infrastructure bill. So they're saying that this infrastructure money is going to be run the same way as this SRF, but that's through the water and sewer department. There's also another potential money right now that's hazard mitigation grant funds, which the city's gotten lots of. We've done drainage projects with it. We've done generators. We've done lots of different things. There's money that's available, and it's always usually money that's available after disaster. This is money that's available after COVID, because that was a disaster. So there's $27 million available for the state, and how that works is everybody puts in a wish list, and then you go to a county meeting, and then the county decides at the EMA office, and then they send that up to the state. That meeting is going to take place at the end of January. And I spoke, again, water and sewer, but I spoke to Steve, and he says there's some needs for some new generators for your lift station. Some of the ones have worn out, maybe some upgrades on those things. So those are the current projects. I'd love to continue working with y'all, but I'm here, I'm available as a resource. Those are the three active projects. We can negotiate as grants come up. We can, I work for several municipalities where I have an annual contract with them, and they pay me a certain amount every month, and I do everything for them. That's been the relationship I've had with the city in the past, and I'm available as a grant person. You want a grant written, I stop what I'm doing, we'll get it done. We don't have to do it that way. Just throwing that out there, I work for the city of Daphne, and I work for Saraland Water and Sewer under that type of agreement, and that's successful. But I just want to say that I've been very grateful for all the work we've done, all the great projects we've done over the years. And I'm here to help Heather, help Clint, help the fire chief, and help y'all to get some money in here to help leverage your ideas and your projects. And American Rescue Plan too. Yeah, there's some American Rescue Plan issues, and it's a big one, and and it's a moving target. I'm sure you saw the AG opinion that came out. They're making the rules up of that money that's gone along, and I've just advised Heather to be as cautious as possible as we move forward, and I think y'all have done that, which has been great. You haven't gone out and spent it, because the AG opinion came out 2 weeks ago where they said you couldn't give any retroactive money. So a lot of places are in big trouble because they paid people retroactively back to the COVID times. But anyways, I'm here as a resource. Are there any questions? Is there anything y'all want to know? Is there anything I can help you with?
And if I'm not wrong, what we pay you now?
In the past, you've paid me, my past contract has been, I think, maybe not last year, the year before, it was $12,000 per year as the turnkey to do all those things. Now, I think I did that just because I'm so loyal to the city of Satsuma. That's a lot lower than I normally charge. I think if you I actually asked some engineering firms today how much they would charge for doing an MS4 and what we do for the MS4 things, and it's somewhere between like $30,000 to $50,000 they would charge per year, just for those reporting things. And so, yes, in the past you paid me $12,000 per year. I think if we wanted to do that unlimited type of thing, I think it would have to go higher than that. But again, I'm, based on whatever scope we want, that works best with your staff.
In 08, I was here when we hired you in 08.
You were?
Weren't you on commission then?
I was, yeah. So I can work that way as well, where we can, and then as a grant opportunity comes up, then we come negotiate it. We can do something along those lines. But then we lose time and weeks and there's a delay. But I'm more than happy to work on that as opportunities appear as well, if that's what's best for the council and the mayor.
Just trying to remember how we did it to start with.
Yeah, it was that way. And we did a sidewalk project.
That's right, that's right.
And now the city's covered up in sidewalks.
Every year they renew it.
Yeah, and I went to Crayola I guess it was last year, and they brought me in and they're like, all we want is to have sidewalks like Satsuma. They were so proud. They were so jealous of all your sidewalks. They wanted to have them everywhere. But we've gotten lots of stuff done. We've gotten lots of work. We've got the safe room. We've got lots of generators. Got drainage projects. I mean,
Is there any grants out there for public works? I know there's some for parks, but public works.
like for equipment,
Yeah.
not as much. We'd have to sort of craft it into a larger project.
Park or something?
Yeah, something like that. We have to be creative. But there's not that many. And there's very little money for parks, too. And the park money is very competitive as well.
I did talk to the people at the RC&D, and they said they would love to get us some swings
Nice.
and whatnot.
Oh,
So,
perfect. Okay, good.
that would be something that would be on my radar.
Yeah, I think that was the summer last year. I think we applied for something for the library. The city did. So, yeah, we can get that. That's an easy one. I mean,
Sure.
that's pretty simple. But swings would be, I know parks are a priority for you.
And I did talk to the gentleman from ADEM about the tire project, and he said that they won't be reviewing any new applications till mid next year.
Okay.
But we are on the list.
Great.
So they just said because of COVID, everything got pushed back. And while I was in Montgomery, attending some meetings, one of the notes, it said, they asked who all had a grant writer, and then the people raised their hand, and they said, if you have a grant writer, they should be very, very busy right now. And this is in regards to the recovery funds, American Rescue. So I would say there is a need. They expressed that if you didn't have one, you needed to get one. And so I think it's important, especially at this time, because some of the mentions were, I have a lot of notes, but it's like, don't, like you said, don't spend anything yet, because the final rule, they said, is due out at the end of November. And basically they said, get your projects together and get them shovel ready, quote unquote. And any projects that will fall short on local funding, like you said, the quality of life and the betterment of the community, those would be matched by the state. So just like you said, so it sounds like she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you. Yes, there's money coming. It's a boom or bust time right now. And there'll be a time soon where there won't be any money, but this is the time to be in this business. It's great. But I can't stress enough that y'all are in great hands. Sad to see Crystal leave, but you're in tremendous hands with Heather. She's just stepped up to the plate. Fire chief and your police chief are just really, they're just great assets. I work with folks all over the place, and you guys have a really good team here.
Thank you.
So you should be very grateful for that.
I'm good.
You're good?
I think you want an answer, would we like to pay you on the monthly fee, or would you want a percentage of the,
Or do you want to just work on a percentage, and then on the other things, the three things that I talked about, y'all, if you didn't do that, if you want to just pay me percentage by project, they'd be on their own for those other items. And then MS4, you'd probably have to find an engineering firm to do that for you. And that report's due at the end of May. That's when you have to submit it.
I've seen that report, and it is no joke what it takes to go in that report. And for whatever her yearly rate is, to do just that, plus the grant management she's been doing for the public safety, my opinion is we contract for the year. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
Great.
okay, then we got to find out what the contract for the monthly fee would be, or what it is, because I think you said you wanted to make a change in what you'd been being paid.
Yes, I do. We can talk about it and put it on the next agenda, if that sounds like a plan. And maybe the mayor and I can get together, and Heather, and look at the budget and see what y'all think is good. But I would love to continue to help y'all.
Is that okay with y'all? Okay, well, try to meet between now. We got, I think, 3-4 weeks from tonight. The next
Absolutely.
meeting is the 7th, and I'll
Okay.
try to have something for them. If they agree, we'll do it.
That sounds good. And Edith, before I forget, do you need a door prize for Thursday night? Okay, that's one of the things we do. In addition, all right, that sounds wonderful.
Thank you,
All
Kara.
right, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
It's
you.
great to see you. And again, does everybody have my contact information? Let me see. If y'all don't have it, if you see anything out there, you see a grant, you get an email, you hear another city council person, you can find me.
Yes.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, good.
If you see another, and you hear about a grant here, just please reach out to me. I'm here to help, okay?
Thank you.
And I can help figure it all out. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The final thing that I have on my agenda tonight is I would like to know if the council's thoughts regarding us trying to sell some of those lots on Laurel off of Juniper around, and look at the, what type revenue we might be able to bring in if we could sell those lots.
I'm fine with taking a look at it.
Okay?
Have they been subdivided or surveyed
It was
out?
surveyed, but they were not subdivided out.
So how many lots would it be? Reason I'm asking, surveyed
We'd
didn't
have to
tell
look
us.
and see. I mean, we'd have to put some numbers together in order to
Yeah.
come back and tell you.
10 or 11.
I think they were estimating it to be at 10 or 11, but the, but I just didn't want to spend time and effort trying to get, identifying it, and how many feet it is, and what the lot size would be and all that, if
Right.
it wasn't going to be.
No, I was just curious
Or
how
for
many
doing it.
lots it would be.
One of my concerns is if we did that, we'd be taking, an asset off of our books for our audit. And, that also affects our bonding capability.
Right, but it also give us capital to go ahead and address some of the things that we really need to do. And, I'm for doing that. I think we could put that money back into other projects that we got going, and perhaps even improve some of the other parks around. And so that would be my thoughts on that. So,
Could we earmark the money, each lot go to certain things, and that way it's earmarked, or
we could
we're
earmark a
spending that?
percentage or whatever we wanted to do would be our money generating the revenue. So,
I think that sounds like an okay idea, but for the past couple of years, I've had plenty of money left in my budget because I haven't had anybody to spend it. So if you put more money in the parks, there's still no one to do anything with it as far as physical people there to make improvements.
I mean, some of the projects, kind of like the resurfacing of the tennis courts and all, that's subcontracted out. So I'm sure we would have to sub some of that out. It's kind of like putting some rock or dirt and building the area up over in Vaughn's at that park where it's so bad and so low and mud holes stay there all the time. But I'm just thinking of things like that.
I don't know what you're talking about, mud hole and rock. I was just talking about parks, but there's like nobody on the, like in the Parks Department to carry out projects. So I think would be an immediate need to have a person and then
Maybe if we can
talk about-
generate some revenue, we can have some money and hire some people and all, so maybe that would help.
Well, no, it's a budgeted item.
Are you just saying that you're opposed to doing that? I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea from the council.
Well, before we start selling property to get more money, we already have money that we can spend. So I guess if we were tapped out, then we can consider selling property. But right now, we have money to spend.
I would like let's look at how many lots and how much money we possibly could generate. Are you opposed to us doing that?
I saw a map that Tom had, but I don't know what, apart from that, I don't know what the next step.
It was surveyed, right? We paid
It
for
is a preliminary survey, but you probably want to go to an appraiser and get a ballpark idea of what they're worth, $30,000. There's 11 lots. And then if that's the way you want to go, well, we would just go through the planning commission and subdivide them. It's kind of a no-brainer. There's no improvements to be made, so it would just go through 2 months. And that also leaves the property between the community center and the lodge, that forested area, that still remains our property for future parking or whatever, next to where the Union Chapel might go.
Right. Okay, thank you. Moving to public services, Mr. Little.
Mayor, I was looking over my notes from last month. We was talking with Miss Monica Williamson from SARPC about the vans for the seniors.
Yes, sir.
We changed to another van that was maybe available at this time or maybe in the next 6 months. But we were supposed to, get a letter for a change order. Do you know if we've done that or taken care of that?
Yes, we did sign one, and she told me today that they had everything, and the second vehicle we can request will be available in January. That's what she told me as of today.
Okay.
Edith, is that consistent with what you understand?
Yes, I spoke with Monica about the letter that was due November the 1st to get,
Mm-hmm.
to change vehicles that was already submitted.
Right.
And then is for money to be given out in January.
That's correct. We can reapply in January, and it should be awarded in February
For
for that.
And then that was due November the 1st.
Yeah.
That was just to change the vehicle.
So you sent that letter? Okay, so we don't have copies of it in the file, that was, okay.
That's all I seen. I knew she was requesting that, and I was just going to make sure of that, to where, like I say, we can make sure that's in the process.
Actually, she said that they received the letter for the change.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need to keep it all in it, because when people are calling me about it, I don't know, so you'll just skip it.
That's the biggest thing. We can move on.
Mr. Butler.
Yeah, the only thing I got right here is for the police department for October. We got 375 calls, but I got all the stuff like the felony cases. We got 7 misdemeanors. We got 41 other cases was 11 misdemeanors arrest. We got 34. Felony arrest, we got 4 of those, and traffic accidents, we got 8 of those, and then citations, we got 38. And The only thing that I want to talk about again was, we had a Ford, 2021 Ford, all right? And we got, insurance got to check for that. There's a Dodge Durango on the lot right now. And, you know, we've already lost a car because of wreck. And I want to make sure that we could buy that Dodge. I think we already talked that before. If y'all want to talk about that, I wanted to talk about it. You know, because when you lose a car, we go back. All we're doing the same place. So I want to do that. I think we got to check $43,000 for that.
53.
45?
53,000.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 4. But anyway, that's what we're looking for now. So, you know, I would like to put a motion that we do that. Okay, then I'll make a motion that we do it.
Well, we're in a pre-council meeting. I don't think there's any motions that can be made on anything.
All right.
You wanna-
We'll amend the agenda then.
Can we amend the agenda? And add L?
Right.
I'm not going to stand in the way of amending the agenda, but I'm not going to vote for it. So, I mean, I want you to know that.
That'll be fine.
I mean, we've bought so many cars for the police department in the past year, and it just is, you know, we got other departments that need
Right.
vehicles too.
But you know what? All these cars were old. They had high mileage. That's why we try to do that. So, you know, some of these cars, we use drug court for that. So, you know, I don't know why you want it. I
Well-
guess no. All right, well, then I'll make a motion that we do it.
What are you trying to make a motion? We're in pre-council. I mean,
All right,
are
I'll
you
make a
saying?
motion then the regular meeting. That'll be fine enough.
We're going to have to amend the agenda if that's what you're going to do. If that's what you're requesting, say so, because if it's not on the agenda, we're not going to vote on it.
Okay. I amend the agenda.
I think what Mr. Butler's saying is he's requesting to amend the agenda once again tonight to add on the purchase of
Right.
another police vehicle.
Be item L.
Does any council member have any objection to that?
No, sir.
Okay, then,
Who's gonna make that motion? Amend it? Or you just gonna do one motion to do K and L?
I can do that.
I assume you want a roll call vote, Mayor?
Hmm?
Do you want a roll call vote?
well, we will at the meeting.
Yes, sir.
We don't now. Do you have anything else, Mr. Butler?
That's all.
Administration, Mr. Skelton?
Yes, sir. Have you got your auditor contract in place?
I do.
Okay. All right. And then also, the other question I had was where do we stand with the assistant city clerk?
I'm looking at perhaps changing the assistant city clerk position and duties, and I would like to proceed perhaps with a different way than we've been doing things and reassign some of the duties in the office. And, you know, one day if you got time, I'd like to sit and talk about it and see if you've got any ideas or suggestions.
All right.
I'll fill you in on all of that.
See, info, we just got, I know we got you know, we're losing some key folks here later on tonight, and some of those job responsibilities are gonna move up here, and we're gonna need to move pretty quick.
I'm glad you agree with that. So, anything else, Jason?
Nope.
Allison, Parks?
Yes, sir. Magnolia Park looks really good. Thank you to the city employees that are helping move that right along, getting ready for the opening of the Bark Park. We still don't have a date yet, but we are working on getting the sign since the rules have been determined. And also, we are going to be buying some features for the dogs to enjoy, and also adding some playground equipment, et cetera, to spruce up the area. So we're excited about that. And don't forget about the meeting Thursday, Steel Creek Lodge, 7 o'clock. I hope to see you there. And I think that's about all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
I'm good for right now, Mayor.
All right, items for discussion and/or consideration. A, payment of the bills.
I got that one.
Second.
B, discussion of consideration of request from John Beach to do a transfer to the City of Creola Public Works Department.
I can take that one.
I'll second.
Allison, Mike. C, consideration resignation of Crystal Johnson as crew chief effective December 3rd in good standing.
I don't want to do it, but I will.
I'll second it.
Allison and Randy the second. D, consideration of resignation of Charles Washington, EO, as EO 3 effective December 3rd in good standing. I thought we just made him a 2. He's a 3? Okay.
I'll do that.
It's like,
Randy making a motion, Jason second. Consideration of hiring Derek Burrell Jr. as a part-time jailer dispatcher to be effective November the 20th.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mike and then Randy, second. Consideration of the resignation of Timothy Galat as a firefighter effective November the 26th, 2021 in good standing.
Make a motion.
Second.
Mike make it, Randy the second. We've already covered G, discussion and consideration of Kara Stellman's contract as a grant writer for the city of Satsuma.
Table that too.
Yeah, we'll just table that until the next meeting. We'll get back to what she says. H, discussion and consideration of an invoice for Civil Southeast in the amount of $5,600 that's regarding sidewalks.
I'll put that in form of a motion. We pay it.
thanks, second.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Skelton. I, discussion and consideration of the sample ATV golf cart ordinance. Did y'all want to put the
I'm sorry.
changes that y'all had discussed in that, give it a number so it would be known exactly what we're passing, and it could be printed and they could put it out on social media with exactly what we're looking to make or pass before it's passed?
I can attempt to cover that. And then if I guess, make sure everybody agrees with what I say, and if not, we can reword it.
J, consideration of purchase from a boat motor for Steel Creek Marina not to exceed $12,000 for the fire department.
Make a motion.
Second.
Mayor, the actual quote is 11,445.07.
I got it right here if you want it.
Yes, sir.
That's in our pack, right?
Yes.
I seen that number.
Are you going to have to change the controls, chief, on that motor?
That's completely redoing everything.
I was just figuring, say it might need to stay at the 12,000 if you had to.
That's the reason I figured it.
All of
was
that's
money.
included, but some things have went up a little bit since that quote, and I just see asked Heather to do the 12.
See.
in case. I know it might be a little more, it might be a little less than the 11, but I don't, some things went up, some things went faster than that.
And not to exceed, be, they should be good.
Well, I thought the not to exceed would be the best way to go. You get in there and you run into something they gotta get, so. All right, Mike will make the motion, Jason second that one. And then K was going to be the request from Allison on the amending the library.
Yes, sir.
Allison, where do you want to amend that from in your budget?
Salaries.
So you want to lower your salaries to 2.5% for them and then add it to their appropriation?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So you want to lower your salary, move 2.5% of your salary item for the library and add it to their appropriations? Because you would have to do an amendment to the budget because it's already been passed.
Yes, I want to, I guess, amend the budget on salary line to deduct $1,833 and increase the appropriation to the library by $1,833. Do I need to make that as a
You need to state it.
two separate motions or one?
You can do it in one,
Okay,
I think.
I think you can.
okay.
You can do it in one. You just need to make, we just had to have that figure because you
Want
can't
to-
just say.
You want to, what your motion will be to amend the budget?
In the budget, okay.
And then move that money to appropriations.
Okay.
The last item will be a request from Mr. Butler to add on the purchase of a Dodge Durango for the police department.
Okay, I made a motion with that.
Second. Did you get a second on yours?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll get it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other business that would come before the council?
Only one thing, like at the square, is really looking good. They look good.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's all the things that's listed on the agenda, so it's 6:44. It gives us about 15 minutes. We'll be ready for the Ready?
Trying to put one. I know you all
I'd like to call the Satsuma City Council to order. We start our meetings with prayer, so in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand for Councilmember Little to lead us in a word of prayer. It will be followed by the invocation. I would like to remind everyone, if you haven't silenced your phone, please silence your phone and try to keep any talking or anything, where it doesn't disrupt the meeting. So anyway, thanks for coming tonight, and hopefully this will be a nice meeting. We'll get in and out. So, Councilman Little, you ready? Please stand.
Lord, we thank you for a beautiful day you've given us, Lord. We just thank you for the ones that's come out, Lord, that's interested in our city and our city business, Lord. We just pray for our guidance tonight. We just ask for strength, Lord, as we make decisions, Father. Just ask you to be with the ones that are sick. Father, watch over them. Bless us. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Heather, if you would, give us a roll call, please.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember Butler, Councilmember Skelton.
Here.
Councilmember Reese.
Present.
Councilmember Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Barlow.
Here. Please let the record reflect that all are present, including the city attorney and the department heads. The next item is the approval of the agenda. The agenda was amended twice tonight. I think we've already covered in pre-council the add-ons. A request first from Councilmember Reese regarding the budget affecting the library for a relatively small amount, about $1,800, I think it is. And the second item was Mr. Butler has requested the purchase of a new vehicle that was not on the agenda. Did you have the approximate amount of that vehicle? Mr. Butler,
Yes,
what is the approximate amount of that?
the amount?
Right.
Hey, what is the amount?
It was approximately 41,000, but it comes equipped.
And the request to add on a police vehicle in the amount of approximately $41,000. With those two changes made to the agenda, all those in favor of approving the agenda, I think it was going to be a roll call vote we'd asked for earlier to make the changes to the agenda. Heather, would you, roll call?
You want to do separate items or both together? That's fine.
I think we could do both items together.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Butler,
Yes,
Councilmember Skelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Barlow.
Yes. Now is there a motion to approve the agenda as now amended?
I'll make the motion to approve the amended agenda.
second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler to approve the agenda with the amendments or the changes that was made. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Those opposed. Approval of the minutes from our last regular meeting of November the 2nd, 2021. I think everybody has it in their packet.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the minutes as distributed. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Next thing is recognitions. There was no recognitions listed tonight. Following, Mr. Tracy Nolfi is the only person that's asked to speak before the council tonight. Mr. Nolfi, would you like to come forth? If you would just state your name and your address for the record, please,
Yep.
sir.
Tracy Nolfi, 5811 Daphne V Street. So first thing we was going to talk about was the culvert. She's been very responsive to me on that, so we've talked about that. Everything's clear. I know they got the line locating done, so I assume they'll be digging pretty soon. So one thing, did you are they gonna take care of all the concrete demo, or did you want me to cut that at the expansion joints so they could bust it? Take care of it, okay. Yep, no problem. Y'all are doing the concrete in-house too, is that correct? Okay, all right. I got some other sidewalk popping up, but that's tree roots, so. The other thing I was gonna talk about was the range. I know that was brought up several weeks back, so I'm gonna read by my notes here because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. First, I'll give my company profile. It's Southeastern Defensive Firearms Training. We formed in about 2014 because it was me and 3 other guys. We were all training together, but we were all paying insurance separate. Mainly the reason we did it so we could pool our insurance monies and train as a group, and it's actually worked out good. I won't bore you with all of them. We got about 13 or 14 different certifications between all of us that train together. Recently, I think we did a combat first aid class with the Baldwin County Sheriff's Department for just having that knowledge, a Glock Armor School and a Smith & Wesson Armor School. So what it come about is we were doing these classes, most of them were out at Styx River Shooting Center. It started off with ladies only classes, that's where it kind of grew from. We wanted to do one in the North Mobile area, so I talked with Chief McLean at the time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I talked to the mayor. He said, talk to the chief, the range is his, whatever. So I talked with Chief McLean, explained everything, how we did it, what we did. We come to an agreement that if we did it, that all the time we had to have Richard Dix out there, which was, I think, he runs the range for you guys, correct? He's your training officer?
He is the range master.
So everything we've ever done, we've always coordinated through, I'll call him, ask for dates, whatever. Richard's always there at every one of the classes we've ever taught. Between us, we have an RSO, a chief RSO, and then we have Richard. I'm not sure his certifications, but if he was here, he'd tell us all about them, I'm sure. So, yeah. We've let him teach some of the classes sometimes. It's better to keep him on the range. He can talk. Woo. I like him though. So when Chief McLean left, I had the same conversation with Chief Stringer. When he left, I had the same conversation with Chief Harrell. That's just the way we'd always done it. So I didn't know I should have brought it before you guys about the class. We carry insurance through Lockton. We have a $1 million policy. We have a $2 million aggregate, and we have a certificate of insurance that specifically lists the city of Satsuma and the range itself. So they're specifically covered in that. We keep 4 med kits on site, 2 crash bags, 1 scratch bag, and then Richard's medical bag. So we run a cold range. We always keep a low student to instructor ratio. 4 students to 1 instructor is the max when we have bigger classes, but normally it's 2 students per 1 instructor. The way I've always kind of done it is I've just worked on the range. I kind of swap out the work I've done out there for the use of the range, fixing backboards, whatever needed to be, helping. I think we pushed up the berms one time out there. Most recently, we ran power. We set a pole and ran power all the way down there to have fans and stuff because it gets hot during the summer down there. It gets real hot. So that's kind of the arrangement we've always had. So I don't know if y'all want to continue that arrangement. It's worked out good for us. It's been kind of a mutual agreement that seems to have done good. I like having classes here in North Mobile. We only do maybe 2 to 3 basic classes a year out here, and I think we've only done 1 or 2 advanced classes. So most of them are taught out at Styx because my partner, Tony, I have 2 partners, but the partner that trains with me now, Tony, works at Styx River. So we do a lot of them out there, but a lot of people don't want to drive all the way to Styx River Shooting Center. So, but that's the spill on me and the range. So I don't know if y'all have any questions.
Tracy, I think you kind of missed a point when we brought up the range. It had nothing to do with you or your qualifications.
I know. That's why I was just giving y'all the backstory on it.
Detail with that. It wasn't questioning what you was doing. It was questioning what was going on there, and some questions since you brought it up. You know, I see we charge a fee.
Right.
You're doing it for a profit.
Yep.
Okay, the city, you're using the range. There's no other city facility that we give to people that's doing that, making a profit for free.
Okay.
And that's what I said, it needs to be a rental fee to the range when you use it.
Okay.
You know, you talked about Officer Dix was there.
Mm-hmm.
Is he on our time or your time?
Not on your time. We pay him as how do y'all structure that?
Off-duty employee.
It's off-duty employee like y'all normally do.
You know, and that's the reason I brought it up, was strictly not to prevent you from using it.
Sure.
Just to say there needs to be a rental fee set. There needs to be guidelines in place, and to be sure we're getting all our paperwork and things of that nature. There is absolutely no procedures in place that I know of for that.
Oh, we also have a waiver, I forgot to mention that specifically lists all that. I know waivers,
But you have
come and
one,
go.
does the city?
Do what?
Did the city have one? You have one.
I have one that specifically lists the city.
You know,
and it
and that's
lists
what I'm
Richard,
saying,
too,
there needs
so.
to be procedures set up and a rental fee schedule, you know,
Okay.
because
Well, when we talk about profit.
I'm all for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against that at all. I'm just saying the city needs, you know, to get their share of it while you're doing it.
Well, I feel like give my share in the work that I do up there. That's what I'm saying. I do a lot of, I've provided plywood, a lot of labor, a lot of man hours. Just probably if I
You're
had to
also shooting it
estimate,
down when you put it up. I mean, you know, I appreciate the
range,
help, but we need to rent the facility. You know, Baldwin Square, everything up there is done by volunteers, but when somebody uses it, they pay a rental.
okay.
Even the people that's up there working on it.
So, but I'm just saying, like the work I just did up there, if I would have had to quote it as an electrician, probably $2,500 to $2,800 worth of work. So that's why I just kind of, it was just kind of a mutual
To
agreement.
be honest, you run the electricity for fans for youth. I mean,
It's not for me. It's
You said
for
it was
the
hot up
officers,
there.
for anybody that uses the range.
I'm not gonna sit
So-
here and argue about it. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm just saying we need to charge a rental fee for when anybody, if anybody uses that range other than our police,
Sounds like he's paying in kind.
we need a rental fee, you know?
Okay, well, just to talk about profit, just like the last class, we had 6 people, 2 couldn't show. We gave them a cash discount. I want to say they gave me $100 a piece. I think I gave Richard 100. We just renewed our insurance. It was about $800 a year. Plus I gave some money aside to go up to the church because we do it up at the church. So, I mean, I was up there, I think from 8. I think I got home at 4:30. I think I brought home $100. So, I mean, I don't do this to make a lot of money. I
You
mean,
know, this
I
council
do
might
it
not
because
agree
it's.
with me. I'm just saying my opinion needs to be wrong. I mean, this council can do different. I mean, and, it is what it is when they make that decision.
Seems like it's working to me.
Yeah, it's up to
I
y'all. Y'all
understand
ask me-
also if there's a, you know, we also waive rental fees certain times also. And, I mean, if it's just a group that goes down there and, you know, don't do anything, but I think there's a lot of work that this group does that's like, say, in kind. So, I mean, if you want to put a price out there, I mean, it needs to be as least as possible.
That's when you waive the fee like we do everywhere else. But when Mobile Infirmary comes down here and uses that range like they've done in the past, it needs to be a fee. I pay their fee when I go to them. You know, that's what I'm saying. If what you're doing is in kind, fine. That can always be waived.
And that's,
Just like any
that's
other thing we
agreeable.
do.
That's agreeable. I mean, like you say, address it, you know, at each individual or as it comes up.
Do you, maybe like how they do with Still Creek Lodge, if the school is going to want to use the facility, they request a waiver, and then, you know, the minimum setup fee is required. We could do something like that.
You know, because what we're talking about is not just solely for you, it's for other groups that want to use it also.
Sure. So how what would you want me to set up have a class set up with Richard and then come to you guys and ask to waive the fee
They
at
do
each
on
class?
everything else.
Okay.
And personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that because we'd be made aware of it and we'd agree to it.
I know that some of the other groups that use it, I think they do kind of do some swapping out stuff too on some of that. So I don't know the specifics of all that, but I guess that's something you guys will have to talk out, figure out.
But
So-
some of those things, if those other groups are doing something, like you said, if you're down there doing that type of in-kind service, I'm not opposed to you doing it.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know what some of those others are, and I can specifically tell you that I have spoke with Lieutenant Dix a couple of times when we had a lot of firing going on, like
Right.
on Sunday morning, and he said he didn't have a clue who was down there doing it. And so I don't know if he's down there or if it's other agencies we've loaned it out to, but
And there's some people shooting on the land right next to it. I know that. I heard that one day, and it wasn't at the range. So
perhaps that's it. I don't
I
know.
don't know. It could be.
But I think just verifying that we are covering whatever group is here with the liability insurance. If you got those things in place and you're doing,
Yeah, and I can give
I
y'all
don't have
copies
a
of all
problem.
that too. I have no problem with that. Like I said, it specifically lists the city, so does the waiver. So, and we get those at every class, so.
Sounds like you may have set the bar for any other group that may want to try to use it.
I mean, it covers y'all and it covers me. There's, you know.
And maybe we use
Out
that
there
at-
with guns is a dangerous thing.
that is correct. And,
So
you
I
know,
wanna-
for us
I wanna
to
be
make sure
covered,
we're
so.
covering that is,
Sure. Well, if y'all want to talk about it, then talk about it at the next meeting or something, or whatever. That's up to you guys.
Do you have anything planned right now?
No, this is my busy season at work, so this is just a side gig.
yeah, I didn't think you was making your living doing these courses, but,
You don't make a living teaching firearms, I can tell you that, so.
I do appreciate what you did, though, because I took one of your classes,
Thank you. I enjoy it.
and I appreciate it.
Hard
All
to
right,
promote
Tracy.
them now. I'm not, Facebook is not as friendly as it used to be. So. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I've got to step out, so,
no problem. I think we've covered
Crystal.
that.
gonna miss you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come before the council tonight? Okay, we're moving pretty fast. Going on back to the mayor's report. Most of my things were very small. They would be, that were covered in the pre-council. Once again, I thank the ladies in the office and Mr. President all there for the Veterans Day ceremony that went very nice here last Thursday. I'd like to say the citizens, thank you. Most of them were very kind. I did have several calls regarding some of these trash piles, but with the trucks being down, we had a few days we couldn't get the parts for them, and you go a few days without those things running, you can really tell it. So they're back up and running. I did mention to y'all about this, the redistricting and how it has the effect it has had on Satsuma. I hope y'all will look into that. The municipal dinner is Thursday night. Heather, do we have a count on the city?
Currently
Is it 10?
67. I spoke with Mount Vernon's assistant today, and she tried to get with the city clerk today, because they would have quite a few, and they were in meetings today with their chief of police. She did tell me she knew 2 were coming currently, so that would put us at about, I would say 70 max right now.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get a good number so we can call Stoney's and drop it from the 120 plates. That's a lot of extra food.
Thank you. That's kind of reason I was hoping we could firm a count up. I mean, we don't want to make sure we've got adequate food, but we don't need to.
People all this week calling RSVPing, even though it was last week, the deadline.
Okay. Questions regarding the Christmas parade and the purchase of the candy and all, and I just told Edith to proceed with that, basically as in the same as years past. So if nobody has a problem with it, it should be pretty close to what we've had. If you do have a specific request or something that's changed, let her know. Earlier, and there's already been a couple of comments thanking the SCDO and the city workers working at Baldwin Square. It looks very nice. As I said, they had an event there last night that was well attended. It was really nice. We've already discussed the sidewalk project that's due tonight, and also Kara Stillman. I'm going to get back with y'all at the next council meeting regarding if we can work out something, and I feel we can. I don't think that's going to be a big issue. And I will provide a little more information regarding those lots that I'm discussing on Laurel before the next meeting. Several of the other projects that we got going are still progressing. Hopefully some of these road projects will take effect after the first of the year. with that being said, that's basically everything I've covered between the pre-council and tonight. So we'll go into public services. Mr. Little.
Mayor mentioned the vans earlier in the pre-council. Also, when you was talking about the trash and the trucks, we did get both trucks back, and we're pretty well caught up, but we've got some bigger piles of trash and limbs that we're trying to get to, and we have started. We might not get the whole pile at once, but we're getting a certain amount of it, and hopefully we'll be back caught up real soon. We are having a few issues with what we consider trash, and I'm gonna try to address that a little more. I mean, there's boxes, different things that's being put out, on the street that I think, should be in garbage cans or a dumpster. But I'm gonna see if we can address that a little better. And as far as the size of our brush piles or our limbs, and trying to control that. That just helps everybody in the city. I mean, not just the few people that's, taking advantage of that, but, we trying to take care of the whole city. And I think people understands that, but they just want to, push us a little bit. So we taking care of it as best we can. So thanks for your patience. I'm good, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Butler.
Yeah, for the police department, for the month of October, we got total calls for service. We got 375 calls. For felony cases, we got 7. Misdemeanors, we got 41. Other cases was 11. And misdemeanor arrest, we got 34. Felony arrest, we got 4. Traffic accidents, we got 8. And for the citations, we got 38. And that's all we have for the public safety.
Mr. Skelton.
Yeah, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, because we won't see you before then. And that's all I have for now.
Ms. Reese.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the city employees that are helping to make Magnolia Park look great. We are getting close to opening the Bark Park. We need a sign with the rules and a couple of features to be added, as well as a water source for the thirsty dogs. Also looking to get some playground equipment and spruce up the area, so excited about that. Also went to Montgomery for some classes in regards to the American Rescue Funds, and they had speakers from ADECA and ALEA and ADIM, all the A acronyms. And so I got some information that seemed pretty valuable. Basically, they were looking for shovel-ready projects and talked about eligible uses and things like that. So I hope to put these notes together and present it to the council so we can use it as a resource. Also, 2 dates that they asked for me to share. Advocacy Day is going to be on January 19th, and that's in Montgomery, as always. And the convention is going to be in Tuscaloosa this year, May 11th through the 14th. So, and that is all that I have. Thank you.
Moving on to Public Works, Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, as several you've already mentioned, the Christmas tree at Baldwin Square and the lights were put in this week, and they do look very good. If you go by, everybody goes out by and take a look at them. It's starting to take shape. Public Works also, they did a lot of ditch work this week, took care of potholes throughout the city, did extensive cleaning in the Public Works shop, and I'm sure that was a job in itself right there, getting it organized. Worked on low-hanging limbs and started running the leaf back, getting ready for everybody raking the leaves into the ditches. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, if that's it from the council, we'll go into items for discussion and or consideration.
I'll make a
First-
motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
First item is payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $38,059.42.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Ms. Reese pay the bills in the set amount. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Moving on to B, discussion and consideration of the request from John Beach to transfer to the City of Creola Public Works Department.
I make that motion.
Second.
A motion made by Ms. Reese and seconded by Mr. Butler to approve the transfer of John Beach to the City of Creola. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
C, the resignation of Crystal Johnson as crew chief to be effective December 3rd, 2021, in good standing.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reese and seconded by Mr. Little to accept the resignation of Crystal Johnson in good standing. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
D, consideration of the resignation of Charles Washington, EO3, effective to be December 3rd, 2021, in good standing.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skelton to accept that resignation in good standing. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
E, consideration of the hiring of Derek Burrell Jr. as a part-time jailer dispatcher to be effective November the 20th, 2021.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Little. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Consideration of the resignation of Timothy Galat, a firefighter, to be effective November the 26th, 2021, in good standing.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Little. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let it show the motion passed. Discussion or consideration of Kara Stelman's contract as a grant writer for the city of Satsuma. We discussed this in pre-council, and I think it was agreed that we will table this until the next meeting. If that is the wishes of the council, I will get that information requested and get back with you before that time.
Table it.
H,
I make a motion, we table it.
Second.
motion made by Ms. Reese, seconded by Mr. Skelton to table the motion of Kara Stelman's contract to the next meeting. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. H, discussion and consideration of an invoice for Civil Southeast in the amount of $5,600 regarding the sidewalk.
Mayor, I don't know if we need to make a motion on that. It was in the bills, and we've already voted to pay the bills.
That was included in the 38,000 that was listed?
Thought I read it in the bills. Wasn't it in the bills
Yes,
It was
already?
in the bills, it shouldn't be.
The mayor wanted it,
Pulled out, okay. Okay, well, I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Skelton to pay the bill. I think we'd all are agreed on it anyway. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. I, discussion and consideration of a sample ATV golf cart ordinance.
Make a motion.
That's what it's there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jason distracted me. That's my turn, right?
Yep.
Okay, so do you want me to read what we want to include? Okay. I move that we adopt? No, adopt?
No, we can't adopt it.
Introduce?
We hadn't really got it.
What do we do?
Introduce, I mean, we just
Can we
discussed
introduce it and adopt it tonight?
No, you'd have to do a roll call. I would, especially since you're changing it, I would just introduce it.
Right,
For the vote on next meeting?
Okay.
you're on, right.
Introducing A, definitions. 1, off-road vehicle. Any self-propelled vehicle, irrespective of the number of wheels, designed by the manufacturer for off-the-road use only. This shall include any golf cart not designed for use on public roadways. 2, responsible adult. Any person age 18 or older who maintains ownership or other lawful control of any off-road vehicle. B, violations. It shall be unlawful for any parent, guardian, or other responsible adult to permit anyone under the age of 16 to operate any off-road vehicle on the public streets, roads, or highways within the corporate limits of the city of Satsuma. C, punishments. Upon conviction of a violation of any portion of this ordinance, such person shall be punished as set forth in Section 1-14 Code of Ordinances for the City of Satsuma. D, exclusions. This ordinance shall not prohibit a sworn law enforcement officer, public works employee, or firefighter from operating any vehicle as designated in the Code of Alabama 32-5A-93 from operating said vehicle in compliance with state laws. The end.
What day you want to make it effective, so.
Take it after you adopted it.
Yeah.
But they were talking about putting in the warnings in there though.
The warnings in that.
Did you want to have that?
Well, what we had discussed, since we were limiting it to juveniles, is to go ahead and advertise it on social media that this is.
That is your warning.
And as of 3 weeks from tonight, we're gonna start hammering down on it.
So what, is that, do I need to specify the date? Oh, okay.
Yes,
It's not.
it'd go
it's
into
not the way
effect
you
the
did it.
next.
It's fine if you're going to go.
Okay. Is that all I needed to say, or do I, okay.
So you're making that motion.
Oh, yeah.
I'll second.
Do we give it a number, or is it,
It would be 2021-1201.
so your motion is to introduce ordinance 2021-12-01 pertaining to the operation of off-road motor vehicles on city streets,
So moved.
seconded by Mr. Phillips. Is that, I'm just trying to get the wording right for them.
Yes, sir. That sounds like,
Is there any discussion?
Mayor, the biggest thing is we are putting something in place, but I see that the officer's discretion is going to be the biggest thing in this issue. As far as the ones that we're trying to target, there's going to be a big gray area. And hopefully, at the officer's discretion, everything will work the way it's supposed to.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. J, consideration of purchasing of a boat motor from Steel Creek Marina not to exceed $12,000 for the fire department.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skelton by the boat motor for not to exceed $12,000. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed. K, request from Councilmember Reese to amend the budget in the amount of a little over $1,800, moving money from salaries to the library in order to cover the 2.5% raise that was given at the last council meeting. Any further discussion or comment on that?
I make that motion. The amount is $1,833.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reese and seconded by Mr. Skelton for the said change in the budget to cover that raise. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
The last item on the amended agenda was an add-on police vehicle that Mr. Butler is requesting that we purchase. a Dodge Durango, an approximate amount of $41,000.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Skelton to buy another vehicle for the police department. All those in favor signify by aye.
Hey,
Aye.
wait.
Those opposed, I'm gonna be opposed to it.
Can we get a roll call, because I couldn't hear everybody?
Sure.
We didn't have the discussion.
Oh. If there was no discussion, I thought, I said there's any discussion, but if I didn't, let me clarify, sure.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Mayor.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't,
Go
I
ahead.
didn't
Yes,
hear
sir.
you. I thought
Any
you was
discussion on it?
jumping right into the vote. I'm sorry. I just want to say that I know we've talked about this Durango before. I'm not real pleased with the Durango. From what I understand, there's time involved as far as getting a Chevrolet or a Ford. Is that correct? What would be the earliest that we could get?
The late of 2022. I talked with the chief, and he drive the Durango, and he liked they're doing good, and he talked to some the dealers and stuff. So he said it's gonna be okay with that one. That's what he thinks. Chief, you want to talk about that?
And that is available now?
Yes, sir. The Durango's the only thing available right now. Fords, you're looking at 6 to 8 months. Chevrolets is a year and a half.
That's because it's a Dodge.
That's why I'm only going to ask for one of these, and if it doesn't work out, it'll be the only one we ever buy.
And actually, we'll be coming in at a lower price than what we,
Yes, sir. The insurance settlement we received for the 21 Ford was $53,000, and we'll be spending $41,000, so hopefully that'll give us some money for repairs.
that's all, Mayor.
Is there any other discussion on the vehicle?
Oh, one,
I cut
I'm
it
sorry,
off.
one other thing. We already had this vehicle in our fleet, is that when it was wrecked, I assume?
Right.
So, we're not actually adding another vehicle.
No,
This is just replacing the
Right.
one that we already agreed on and had.
right.
Okay, I'm done.
See, it's not, we got the insurance for that, and so it don't cost more of the city in the budget.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Heather says she couldn't hear everybody, so she'd like a roll call vote on who's voting for it and who is not. So please give us a roll call vote.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Butler,
Yes.
Councilmember Skelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese.
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Barlow.
No. Okay. Well, that's all the items that's on the agenda for discussion and/or consideration. Is there any other business or anything that we did not address?
Yeah, Jay, have you had a chance to look at that livestock ordinance?
Did. It's not allowed at the present time. If you'd like to do that, we'd have to introduce an ordinance to make that change.
Would you like for us to pursue that?
I would.
I mean, I'm not the property owner, but, you know, if we got other places in the city that has horses, we need to make sure
Cows.
everybody complies.
Cows.
Or, excuse me, cows, yeah.
We'd like to kind of mirror the one for the horses. It's, I think, 2 per acre is what it said on the horses. Is that what you would like to do? We just need an ordinance to amend it to do that if that's what the council would like to do.
If people have a certain amount of property, and I'm not saying exactly what it is, but if it's, I don't know, over 5 acres, or certainly if it's over 10 acres, then I would think that the allowing of some livestock would be acceptable. We still have some areas, especially on the west side of town, that people own several acres, and I can't see what it would hurt.
As I recall, the horse ordinance allowed it for
1 horse per acre, if I remember right.
either one, I thought it was 2, but I can look at that and we can do one or two, whichever y'all would like. That a horse and a cow eat about the same thing, need about the same amount of space.
I think we mirror what that is. I think we'd probably be fine.
Can we put something together
Sure.
and we'll do that? I'm not opposed to the, I agree with what you're saying on that. So unless there's any opposition, we'll have it ready. Sir, I'm sorry.
We can talk about it later, but I'm probably gonna be against it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Now,
So
on
if somebody
the-
has 1 acre, they can have a cow on it?
No, it's a little bit, it's a little bit different than that. It's like a certain amount of acres and then
Then you're allowed
Yeah.
one
so
per
many
acre.
the number you can have on there is based upon number of acres that you got.
It's gotta be so many feet away from the residence.
Oh,
It
okay.
has to have so many acres before it even starts to qualify, so it ain't, you can only apply in one or two places.
Yeah, that's not many, it's that some it even qualifies.
The only one I'm aware of we ever had was the one that had this for sale, that had the horses on it. But there may be others, but that was the only one that I can remember since I've been up here that hadn't even had any on it. And
Well,
then
we
on
could
the
review
cows,
that.
we'll put a pair, cow and a calf would count as one.
I don't see much difference between a horse and a cow being there.
We'll try to have something that's acceptable that y'all can look over. And like I said, if somebody wants to vote against it, that's okay. And that's it. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council tonight? If not, thank all of y'all for coming. I wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving from all of us up here, as we've already said. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll see some of y'all Thursday night. Motion to adjourn.
Somebody
Oh, we don't need a second? Do you need a second?